Good morning. So, welcome to your practice today. We've been talking about joy. Good morning. And so today, we're going to start laying on our backs. I have a few things I want to say and read. So I'm going to sit for a second, but if you want to just lay down, you can lay down on your back, let your feet, just knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and then you can let your knees knock together in constructive rest. So this will be nice support for your lower back, and just kind of let yourself get into your breath as you center. We've been talking about joy, and as I was preparing for this class last night, I pulled out this book, Light in the Wilderness by Catherine Thomas, and I love anything that she writes, but just wanted to talk a little bit about joy. She quotes Brigham Young, who says, "I am happy, I am full of joy, comfort, and peace. All within me is light, for I desire nothing but to do the will of my Father in heaven." It says, "You need never expect to see sorrow unless your own conduct, conversation, and acts bring it to your hearts. Do you know that sorrow to you can exist only in your own hearts? That our natural state, right, that our emotions actually happen by choices of our thoughts and our focus, which isn't always really helpful, right? Because things do seem to act upon us. But, Brigham Young went through some pretty harrowing and hard experiences. He says, "Though men or women were in the mountains perishing, though they be in overwhelming depths of snow, freezing to death, or be on a desolate island starving to death for want of food, though they perish by the sword or any other way, yet if the heart is cheerful, all is light and glory within." It says, "If the words of life dwell within us, and we have the hope of eternal life and glory, and let that spark within us kindle to a flame, to the consuming of the least and last remains of selfishness, we never can walk in darkness and are strangers to doubt and fear, and we're filled with joy." And I think what he wants us to understand is that we often just pile things on ourselves, and as we've gone through the layers of our body that the yogis kind of described, right? That all of these are sheaths that just cover our innate joy. And it doesn't come from things outside of us, right? It comes from a surrender to what is, whether we're in the mountains in the freezing cold, or we're in the midst of chronic illness, or we are, bombarded with the needs of our children constantly. It's always a letting go of our shoulds. Things should be a certain way, and our ideas. But we tend to just cling to our own cravings and ideas of how things should be, and think that we can design our joy, that we can manipulate and control things into making us happy. But the joy is already there. Our job is to uncover it. And Ekhart Tolle says, right, it's our resistance to what is that really creates that cloudy covering. It says, resistance is an inner contraction, a hardening of the shell. You're closed. Whatever action you take in a state of inner resistance, which we could also call negativity, will create more outer resistance. And the universe will not be on your side. Life will not be helpful. If the shutters are closed, the sunlight cannot come in. When you yield internally, when you surrender, a new dimension of consciousness opens up. If action is possible or necessary, your action will be in alignment with the whole and supported by creative intelligence. You experience a state of inner openness. So we're not supposed to just surrender and do nothing, right? But we act with a certain openness that's a choice that we make from the inside. And then the actions that we take will be supportive. Circumstances and people then become helpful and cooperative. Coincidences happen. If no action is possible, you rest in the peace and inner stillness that comes with surrender. You rest in God. So as we go through our practice today, my invitation is for us to examine our resistance and learn to discern whether it is that we need to act or rest. Because sometimes we do need supportive engagement, but that discernment comes from an open, hopeful curiosity and a sense of gratitude for the experience, right? Gratitude opens us up to joy. And the more we practice that open curiosity, that openness from inside, the more clarity that we have, and it polishes those outer layers so that our innate joy is accessible. And we can experience that in our bodies when we're open and curious to how things fit together. We start to have more agency in what it is that we engage, in the ways that we support ourselves. And in this practice today, I have a couple of blocks available, or if you have a little stool or something to make the floor closer to you, toward the end, that might be helpful. But for now, on your back, you just to really bring your hands to your belly and tune into your breath. I know you have been while I've been talking. This way. But find your hip points, so those front points of your pelvis, not, your hips are actually your joints, but the front points of your pelvis, and just walk your hands in towards your belly button a little bit, but you're a couple inches below your belly. So you're just really feeling deep below your belly. Find a natural curve in your lower back, and you can let your knees come apart now and let them be about hip distance apart, just stacked over your feet. Take a breath in, and then exhale with a ha, 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 a few times. Ha, ha. You can even feel a little bit of a laugh, tap into that joy. I want you to see if you can feel those deep muscles deep down in your belly engage as you forcefully let out that air, right? That's your transverse abdominis. Now, that support engages reflexively when you breathe out with that force, right? Your body, you don't have to think about engaging those muscles, they just do. But that support, right, supports our whole pelvis and our hip joints, our spine, right? This is our pelvis here, really is the center of our whole body. And so educating those muscles there to support us is so important. want you just to keep your feet on the floor, but we're going to take our right heel and just slide it out. So slide that right heel out. Your leg will come towards straight. And then draw it in. Keep your hands on your belly and just see if you can feel those same muscles engage at all. You know, and you can kind of dig down through the layers of flesh to see if you can feel those muscles. And notice if you have to consciously engage through your lower belly, or if it just happens as you drag that heel in, or as you let that heel slide away from you. You can just notice which one of those motions those lower muscles engage. Okay, so we don't want to be totally rigid and squeezed all the time. We want these muscles just to be able to turn on and off as they're needed. But sometimes we just have to remind them. So bringing our fingers there, just slide, let's switch legs. So just slide your left heel out and drag it in. And just go back and forth there. You can notice if the engagement happens on both sides of your belly or just on the side that's moving. It's all just information. And we're just kind of turning these muscles on to support us through our practice. Let's do a few more times on this side. And you might notice if it's harder or easier on this side. Okay, obviously you're using your leg muscles to move your leg, but you can feel that these deep core muscles are working down there in your lower belly and your pelvis. Next time that heel comes in, just pause. Let your belly relax. See if you can totally and completely relax your belly. And now we're just going to let our knees drop out to the side. So you'll keep your left foot exactly as it is and just let your right knee drop out to the side. Keep both sides of your pelvis on the floor and lift it up. And just do that a few times and see if you can find that engagement, those same low belly muscles. Just like a little butterfly wing, that right knee just dropping out to the right and coming back up. And then switch sides. Now it's a smaller movement, and so there might not be as deep or intense of an engagement. And I just want you to see if there's any subtle engagement there in your lower belly. After you've done a few on that left side, we're going to float our feet up off the floor. So kind of like a 90-degree angle, knees are just stacked right over your hips. Okay. And notice what needs to turn on to support your legs here. See if you can find a natural space under your lower back. The back of your pelvis is on the floor. Okay. Now just take your right toes and tap them to the floor and then bring them up. And then alternate, just left toes to tap. And just keep the same shape of your legs. We're just going to go back and forth with these little taps here. It seems super simple, but I want you to notice what needs to engage to support you. And see if you can engage through your belly in a way that is kind of encompassing this whole center. Not making your belly tent up and stick out, but like a corset around your belly as you just tap your toes. And maybe you could tap a little bit further away. You can try that. Just tapping a little bit further away. A couple of times. You can experiment with getting further and further. And then come to pause, just in that tabletop legs position. We'll make some circles with your knee. I'll start with my left knee since it's the one closest to the camera. But try to keep the back of your pelvis on the floor, and you're just going to draw some circles with that left knee. Right, and don't consciously try to turn those belly muscles on. See if they'll just turn on reflexively as that lever of your leg moves. And then switch directions with your circle. Just feel those low belly muscles engage. And then we'll switch sides. So right knee, just keep your left leg as it is, and just draw a circle with your right knee. Go one direction a few times. Notice if it's different on this side. If you have a little more awareness of it, if it's easier or a little trickier, or just the same. As if your belly can just turn on as it's needed. And then release. Actually, just bring your knees into your chest for a second. See if you can find the support of your low belly. You don't need to hug super tight. And then release your feet to the floor. Lengthen your right leg up toward the ceiling, but keep this left knee bent, foot flat on the floor. I'm just going to kind of pedal a bike with this right leg. So take your straight right leg and drop it down to hover above the floor, and then bend your knee in towards your chest and straighten your leg up toward the ceiling. So just do that a few times. So we have one of our deep hip flexor muscles is also a deep core muscle, or psoas. All right, switch directions. So now lift the straight leg up, bend your knee, and then push your heel away towards straight to hover above the floor. Just switching directions. And all of this core works together, in your belly. It works together synergistically. So as you're able to engage through that psoas muscle that comes from your inner thigh up through your pelvis and connects to your lower back vertebrae. That muscle can lengthen, but it's really also deeply connected to your vagus nerve. Go ahead and switch legs. Lengthen your left leg up. And then float that left heel above the floor, and then bend your knee into your chest. Just find this pedaling. Right? And your vagus nerve is like this master nerve that runs through your whole body, like the length of your body, and is teaching your body whether or not you're safe. And that psoas muscle and your diaphragm and your deep transverse abdominis, all of those things are really closely related. Now lift that straight leg up, bend your knee, and then lengthen your leg out. And so we have to feel safe. And we often find a lot of resistance there. So it's helpful for us to just investigate so that we can, with curiosity, let go of the resistance that we don't need. All right, bring that left leg down. Just kind of let yourself settle for a second. Take your feet as wide as your mat. Windshield wiper your knees from side to side. We'll do one last thing while we're on the floor before we move. Okay, bring your feet back to hip distance apart and just lengthen through your right leg. You can interlace your fingers behind your thigh and find some circles of that right ankle. Just notice that through your whole leg, the different positions of your foot. That affects the rest of your leg. And then bend your knee, grab that outer foot and find a half happy baby pose. So you're bringing that right knee outside your right rib cage. And pressing through that hip, and then just notice if you need to engage anywhere to support that and find some freedom. If you need to back out of it, right? We don't really want any sharp pain or pinching, but there may be places in your body you can engage to release that. And then lengthen that right leg up. And you can hold on to the back of your thigh again. I want you to keep the back of your pelvis on the floor, but draw that right leg over to the left. So you're getting the out seam of your leg a little bit and stay active. And then you can find those ankle circles both directions. And then release. We'll do that on the other side. So lengthen your right leg up. Left leg, sorry. I'm having a hard time saying the right thing this morning. And rotate through your foot. Both ways. And then we'll find that half happy baby on this side. Grab the outer left foot. If you need to just grab your thigh, that's totally fine, or your calf. Knee outside of your rib cage. You can resist your foot into your hand into your foot. Just notice where you feel this. If you feel this in your hamstring, just feel the compression in your hip and your belly. And then lengthen that left leg up. And then just see if you can bring that leg just slightly over to the right. So both sides of your pelvis, you're not rocking away or doing a big twist. You're just bringing this leg over, and then you can find circles of your ankle. Let's see if you can get it in the out seam of that left leg. And then release. We'll roll over onto, actually we're gonna come to a table. So you can just roll to your side or rock forward and come onto your hands and knees. And see if you can completely relax through your belly. Totally relax it. Relax through your pelvic floor. And then find that engagement of your lower belly. So you just have support without rigidity. And then see if you can completely relax it. So it might not be visible what's happening here, but see if you can totally relax it. Just let your belly hang. And then you can engage that low belly there. But keep the rest of your breath happening. See if you can breathe 360 degrees around your whole rib cage. In and out of your nose. And inhale to lift your right leg up. Now find that gentle support. Reach your left arm forward. And just find your balance here. Feel that gentle support, and then switch sides. Left leg back, right arm forward. And let's switch sides again. Just keep breathing. We're just holding it. I just want you to feel that support. And then drop your left hand. Just crest your right leg over your left. And then look over your left shoulder toward that right foot. And kind of push your right ribs out to the right. Get a nice side stretch there. And then release, and we'll switch sides again. Left leg back, right arm forward, and we're just gonna pause. So find something to look at on the floor. You're not craning your neck, you're letting your spine just be in line. And you're finding gentle support from your lower belly for that center of your pelvis. Now bring that right hand down and you can cross your left leg over and then look over that right shoulder towards your left heel and push those left ribs out to the left. And come to center and cross your legs, push back. Actually, keep your hips pretty high and walk your hands forward, drop your heart, and just stretch through the fronts of your shoulders in a puppy pose. And then we'll rock onto our bellies in a sphinx. So elbows underneath your shoulders or maybe a little bit forward of your shoulders. And then tuck your chin, let your head hang, let the back of your neck stretch, your upper back stretch. And then knit your lower ribs together and lift your lower belly up off the floor. And then let everything relax. Look forward, push the floor away with your elbows lengthened through the back of your neck. And just move there, kind of this cat and cow motion in your Sphinx pose. And see if you can find engagement and length in a way that you're not crunching into your lower back. Make any adjustments of the position of your arms that you need. And then we'll do a stretch for our inner shoulder. So take your left arm straight out to the left and then look to the right. Bring your right hand by your right chest and then just rock over onto your left hip. Now, if you're not really feeling anything here, you can unwind yourself and bend that left elbow and roll over here. Maybe your right toes come to the floor behind you. Maybe you just move a little bit and stack your feet on top of each other, or they just stay where they were. And then we'll switch sides. Right arm out. And then rock over onto that right hip. And you can bend through that right elbow if it doesn't feel like enough of a stretch. Unwind yourself. Make your way back to your table. And then tuck your toes and just float your knees up off the floor. So feel that deep belly engagement again here. And then you can lift your hips up and back for a downward facing dog. Rock yourself forward into a plank. And then bend your knees to hover, push your hips back and up. We'll just wave here. Dog. I need to tuck my shirt in. So plank, knees hover, hips back and up. Plank, knees hover, hips back and up. One last time. Plank, knees hover, hips back and up. And then walk your hands back toward your feet. So you're in a standing forward fold at the back of your mat. And let your feet be a little bit wider than hip distance apart, soften through your knees. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to your knees. And then exhale, soften your knees and fold. Inhale, halfway lift, come on up. And then soften to fold. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. And this time, inhale yourself all the way to standing. Reach high. And then exhale, hands to your heart. Just lift up your right foot. And then just take a step forward. Doesn't have to be far. And then I want you to push off that right foot and come back to standing on your left. You're just going to take some buoyant steps forward with that right foot. And then come back to stand with balance on your left. So we're working on that kind of reflexive engagement of your core, of your low belly and those muscles closest to your bones to stabilize you, even in kind of some dynamic movement. So we're just kind of being springy here. We'll eventually step forward and find ourselves in a high lunge. You can let your steps get maybe a little bit bigger. And then we'll take that right foot forward and find yourself in a high lunge. And you can wiggle your feet to a stable place once you get there. And feel some length through the front of that left side. Reach your arms high. And then bend your left elbow, just grab it with your right hand. And lean your head back into your left forearm or your left upper arm. Engage through your left glute. And then feel like you're pulling your right heel back, so you're engaging through the back of that right leg also. And find a side bend any amount over to your right. Breathe in and out of your nose. And then we'll open into a twist, left arm forward, right arm back. And then from here, just cartwheel your arms out wide, ground your left heel, and we'll make our way to warrior two. Just enjoy this, and you can find some movement in your pelvis. And then straighten through that right leg. We'll parallel our feet. And then bring your heels in and toes out and sit down in a goddess squat or a plie. Give yourself a hug with your right elbow underneath. And see if you can stack your shoulders over your pelvis. But then find that support of those lowest muscles in your belly. So you can think right above your pubic bone. And if it feels available, you could wrap up into eagle arms. Shoulders away from your ears. And then we'll turn to the left and find our warrior two to the left. You can find any movement in your pelvis here just to find some freedom, and then you can settle in. And then we'll take a big step back to the back of our mat. Just take that right foot, step to your left foot. Inhale and reach high. And then exhale, fold forward here. Inhale, find your halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to. Inhale all the way to standing. Reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart, and then just turn around so you're facing back. And you're at that back part of your mat. And we'll just do those little buoyant step forwards with the left side. So take that left foot and step forward and kind of push off of it. But just let your core and those muscles closest to your spine deep in your pelvis. So we're using that hip flexor muscle, but we're also using those deep belly muscles, and we're also using those tiny muscles in the back of our spine to stabilize as we kind of throw our balance off and use some springiness. Maybe start getting those steps a little bit further forward, and then we'll stop in a high lunge. Reach your arms high, engage through that right glute, and then let your lower ribs soften in so you feel some lifting from the lowest part of your belly. So you don't want it to be super rigid. Don't want you like squeezing your pelvic floor, but you've got support there. And that support will give you freedom in other places, right? That's when we're really contained in our center and supported in our center, then we have more freedom. Right? And that's part of that letting go of resistance. Grab your right elbow with your left hand, lean your head back into that right arm, and then you can side bend to your left a little bit. And come back upright. Reach your right arm forward, left arm back. So we're big open twist. And then we'll cartwheel open into warrior two. Ground that right heel. You can adjust your feet. You can find some movement in your pelvis. Find support through your feet. And breathing smoothly through your nose. And then lengthen that left leg, parallel your feet. Heels in, toes out. Sit down into your high squat. And then left elbow underneath this time. Give yourself a big hug. And think about pointing your tailbone toward the floor. And then maybe you can wrap into those eagle arms. Left fingers into your right palm. And then lengthen your legs. Turn your right toes to the right. Left heel out. Find your warrior two to the other side. And then take a big step. Reach your arms high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. And then inhale all the way to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. You can just stay here and practice from here, or you can turn around and walk to the top of your mat. Whatever makes sense for your space that you're in. We'll do kind of a similar flow, but we'll change it up a little bit. Inhale and reach high. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale your left foot back, setting up for your high lunge here. And then inhale, come high. And then settle. This time, take your right arm out to the right and then internally rotate that right shoulder and bring the back of your hand to your back. And then you can take your left hand and hold onto your forearm or that right elbow. And just open through your shoulder a different way. And find the support from that low belly. Engagement through that left glute. Feel like you're dragging your right heel back. And we'll find that big open twist. So unwind that right arm, reach your right arm back, left arm forward. And then straighten that right leg and bend it. Just a couple of times. Straighten it. And bend it while you're in your big open twist. Straighten and bend. And then unwind into your warrior two. Saddle into that warrior two. And then straighten your right leg, parallel your feet. Heels in, toes out. You can sit down in your squat. Maybe this time rocking from side to side. And then open into your warrior two the other way. Those left toes to the left. And then we'll cartwheel our hands to frame that left foot. Just step that right foot forward. Inhale, find your halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way to standing, reach high. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale and reach high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, that right foot back and set up for your high lunge on the other side. Inhale and reach high. Take that left arm out to the left and then internally, so you're going to internally rotate that elbow and then bring the back of your hand to your lower back or anywhere. And then you can grab that forearm or elbow with your right hand. Drop those lower ribs. Push into that right big toe ball mound. Engage through your right glute and feel like you're dragging that left heel back. Just to feel that support of those muscles closest to your bone. And that hugging to your center allows you to let go of the resistance in the periphery. And then we'll find that big open twist. Right arm forward, left arm back. And then straighten through your left leg and bend it. So you've got this twist happening as you're straightening and bending this left leg. Straighten and bend one last time. And then unwind into your warrior two. Grab that right heel, open your arms wide. Straighten both legs, parallel your feet. And then heels in, toes out, sit down. Into your squat, you could reach your arms forward or up. And then lengthen your legs, warrior two to the right. Open hips, open arms. Cartwheel your hands to frame that right foot. And just step forward with your left. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Okay, we're going to go through that same thing, very similar, but a little bit faster. So inhale, step your left foot back into your high lunge. Inhale, and reach high. Grab that left elbow with your right arm. Find your side bend over to the right. And then inhale to open into your twist. Just straighten and bend that knee once. And then cartwheel your arms open into your warrior two, ground through that left heel. And then from here, turn those right toes forward, but then bend deeply into your left knee and keep that right leg straight. And then come up through center and bend into your left knee. And just go back and forth here. And you can play with that lengthened leg, maybe lifting your toes. Just do what feels good for you and your pelvis. You can experiment with keeping your hips really low as you shift from side to side. Bend into that left knee and find our warrior two to the left. Just take one breath in there. And then exhale, hands to the floor, step forward with that right foot. And then fold. Inhale your right foot back and come up for your high lunge. Bend your right elbow, grab onto it with your left hand and side bend over to your left. And then open out into your big twist, left arm back, right arm forward. Straighten your left leg and bend it. And then cartwheel your arms open into your warrior two. And turn those left toes forward and then bend into that right knee. And then come up, bend into your left knee. We'll go back and forth here. And you can again play with your feet. You can play with keeping your hips low. And feel that slow strength. And then warrior two to the right. Right toes to the right, ground through that left heel open. Exhale, cartwheel our hands to frame that right foot. And then just step your left foot to meet your right. Inhale, find your halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale and fold. And then toe heel your feet just a little wider. If you need your blocks, you can use your blocks. But soften your knees and then find a little bit of a cat and cow motion here with your pelvis. And just try to find a little bit of freedom in your pelvis, in your standing forward fold. But have your hands up high enough that you kind of are supported there. And you're not overtaxing your lower back, but you're finding some length in those warm hamstrings. And then go ahead and let yourself fold. So first, send your sitting bones back. And then see if you can find that engagement through that deep part of your low belly. And use that support to draw you into your forward fold. And you can move your blocks out of the way if you need to. You can soften through your knees as much as you need to. Just breathe some length into your hamstrings. And think about just shedding any resistance that's not serving you. And with that open curiosity, to investigate, to find that action that creates more joy and freedom. And go ahead and bend your knees. You can use your blocks or anything to help you get down. We're just coming all the way down to our bums. You can use your hands behind you to start, or just hold on to the backs of your thighs. Just going to come into a boat pose. Float your thighs up and lift through your heart. And then just kind of find some wobbling here. So some more reflective engagement in your core. Reflexive. Maybe rock, maybe rock. Really rock to side, maybe free your arms, maybe play with your legs. Maybe really lean back, lean forward, lean side to side. Just kind of explore this support. So as external circumstances act on you, right, reflexively, you have that support right in your center. Take another breath or two as you play here. And then release your feet to the floor. Bring your hands behind you and just kind of find a place for your wrists. Draw your shoulders together, and then you can lift your hips into a reverse table. And lower down. And take a wide-legged forward fold, so you can find something to sit on to support your pelvis, and then let your legs go wide. And then before we do anything, just internally and externally rotate your legs. So just kind of let yourself feel the ability of all those muscles just around that hip joint to voluntarily move. And you can switch from side to side. You can use your hands just like we used our hands at the beginning in our belly. Sometimes, you know, that external feedback helps us gain a little bit more awareness. So if we can find some feedback from the outside in, then we can gain a little bit more awareness from the inside out. So you can alternate legs just a couple times and then release your rotations, just lengthen through your spine. Then let your knees and toes point straight up toward the ceiling. Your feet can be pointed or straight up, or you can decide. Then lead with your heart to come forward any amount. And you can find little waves with your breath, backing out with your inhale, and then folding a little more with your exhale. And then maybe find a place where you can just hold still if you've been moving. And see if you can use that open, hopeful, inner curiosity and gratitude to find the necessary action or the rest, right? The just letting go of the resistance, of any of the shoulds, of how things should look from the outside, or even how it should feel. Notice if you can get out of your own way and just trust that innate wisdom and buoyant, happy joyfulness. Bliss is what the yogis call it. Just take one more full round of breath here. So a conscious inhale through your nose, a slow exhale through your nose. And then walk yourself back upright. You can bring your hands behind your knees and just bend. Make our way onto our backs, where we started. Just come on down and hold on to the backs of your thighs and see if maybe you can roll down really slowly. And then when you get there, set yourself up for a bridge pose. Feet flat on the floor, wiggle those shoulder blades toward each other, push into your heels, lift your hips. Like you're sending your sitting bones towards your knees and then pulling your heels toward your shoulders. You can hold on to the edges of your mat and really resist your arms into the floor, or you can interlace fingers underneath you and bring your shoulder blades closer to each other. It's an investigation of letting go and finding the support that you need. And then go ahead and release. Relax yourself all the way down to the floor. Take your feet as wide as your mat. And you can bring your hands to your belly again without any effort on your part. Just windshield wiper your knees from side to side. And you can just feel what supports you. We'll make our way to our final rest. If you like to have any kind of support, if you want to fold a blanket on your head for a pillow, or a couch cushion under your head for a pillow, something under your knees. Support your back. See if you can find the support that you need to be able to completely let go. Let your hands be face up, just next to your body, so that you're receptive. We come up against our own resistance in all different aspects of our lives. But we do have the ability to practice letting go of the resistance, so we can find that innate peace and joy. That we don't have to manipulate or design our joy, it just is. We can just trust that our divine connection wires us for joy. That's what we're made for. And we can have access to it all the time. It just takes practice continually. See if you can let go a little more into your relaxation. And get a little heavier. And at the same time, a little lighter. You feel that buoyancy of that inner light. That you almost feel like you're floating here. And feel free to stay here for as long as you can. When you're ready, just find an easy bend in your knees. You can always bring your hands to your face, give yourself a little massage. Stretch arms overhead, and then roll to one side. Make your way up to a comfortable seat. And bring your hands to your heart. And just find that inner smile behind your eyes. Hold that smile inside of your mouth. Breathe that smile on your heart space. The divine light in me honors the divine light in you. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Namaste. Thank you.